80? At least we made it up.
Huh?
Page 80 at least.
Page 80?
Yeah.
Really?
Wait. So I think I missed the last class. I can't say.
Okay, 72 is where he was saying, like, careful Jew.
Wait.
I think we did. Was it? I think
No, we didn't get
we got past because we're talking about the languages, no?
No. That's maybe with Rav Menachem, another class.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, careful Jew. I remember this one. It's 28.
To what page?
Page 72.
72.
We read this. And then we also had 31. Rabbi says, regarding organic behavior, we find that creatures require nourishment, they grow, reproduce in their own kind.
Okay.
Each type of creature has its own necessary qualities and conditions.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll read through this. Let's see. Okay, we'll go one paragraph at a time, and we'll explain this. So, okay, so basically from paragraph 31 to 43, basically. The rabbi wants to. Can somebody close the door, please? Rabbi wants to emphasize, explain the idea of hierarchy in reality. In order to explain why Israel are unique, special, maybe it's even superior to rest of reality. In order to demonstrate this, the rabbi wants to go through the basics in nature. And maybe to make it simple, we'll just say there are four basic elementary levels in reality. Okay, so the lowest one is minerals or inanimates. Okay, on top of that we have plants. On top of that we have animals, and on top of that human beings. Okay, so through that the rabbi wants to demonstrate that there's hierarchy, and there's definitely a difference on the essence, and not only technical, between each one of these levels that we just mentioned. Up to here, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll start reading from 31. Okay? Chaim, you want to read?
Yeah, sure. 31 here. So, Amancha Chefer.
In English, please.
Okay. The rabbi said regarding organic behavior, we find creatures requiring nourishment. They grow, reproduce their own kind, and each type of creature has its own necessary qualities and conditions. This is true about the plant and the animal kingdoms, to the exclusion of non-living things in nature, such as the earth, stone, metals, and pure elements.
Okay. So, how does he distinguish between the inanimates or minerals to the plants and animal level?
So, requirement for nourishment,
Mm-hmm.
grow, reproduce.
Yeah, the three aspects.
Right. Okay, so that is a
Growth and reproduction.
right. Excellent. See if there's anything to add to this. Okay, so the inanimates or minerals is a reality that is static. It does not develop, does not change. If there are any changes at all, they're external, and they don't make a difference to the essence of that mineral or inanimate. Okay, does not affect its being. It's just there. It's there eternally. Plants, okay, as you said, 3 characteristics. Okay, you want to mention them again?
Nourishment, growth, and reproduction.
Okay, excellent. Those characteristics emphasize that there's a superior level of existence compared to the inanimate. Okay. All right. Go on. 32.
Okay.
4. 3.
No, 32.
32.
Like,
32. Yeah.
The Kuzari said an oversimplification, but nevertheless true.
Okay. So the Kuzari is very upset with what the rabbi mentioned before, which eventually states that there is correct deeds by the Creator that he's seeking for. However, they're given only to the Jewish people, and therefore it seems like that this Creator is very narrow-minded, and his Torah is very narrow-minded because it's only given to specific chosen people and not to all human beings. So now that the rabbi wants to explain how is it possible that and why is it that the Creator gave his correct deeds only to a specific people, specific nation, and not to all human beings, and why how is it possible that not all human beings are equal, and that there's a nation that is different? Okay.
The rabbi said, and regarding animal behavior, all animals share the same life force. It provides them with mobility, natural instincts, traits, senses, and the ability to process info, desires, and the like.
Okay, so what's now the difference between the plants and animals? Okay, because now he's, after we discussed the difference between inanimates and the common thing between animals and plants, now he's distinguishing between animals and plants.
Right. Mobility, instincts.
Excellent. Okay, so
senses,
So dynamic. In another
right,
kind of aspect.
right.
processing info,
Mm-hmm.
desires.
Right. So, okay, we see, and okay, now let's try to analyze this. With each of these levels, okay, there's a weakness and advantage. Okay, so let's see if you can figure out for each level what is the weakness and what is the advantage.
From
Okay.
each and every step, you mean?
Yeah. So I mean, if we start with the most primitive one, inanimates, minerals,
they don't have to do anything. They
Right.
just are static.
right?
And, we have
And is that
plants have to.
wait? But is that a weakness or advantage?
The advantage is that they're not reliable on anything. Like they're not reliable on, for example, the plants are reliable on the sun.
Right.
And other like environmental things
Right.
to grow.
Right.
And the stones, for example, they don't need anything to be.
Okay.
Plants need to.
Wait. Hold on. No. So okay. So that's so you said they don't rely on anything. That's an advantage. What's the weakness?
They can't change. They can't evolve. Or like they can't
Reproduce. Okay.
The
Produce.
stone is a stone. Can make another stone.
Yeah.
Okay. So on one hand, the stone does not rely on anything. On the other hand, it cannot reproduce. It cannot develop. It cannot evolve. Maybe another advantage, but it's like two sides of the coin. It cannot die. Okay.
But doesn't live
As I'm saying, it's two sides of the coin. Okay, so that's fine. That's with the first level. Okay, next, plants, advantage and weakness.
Weakness, they're in mobile, like they can move,
Excellent.
right? They're stuck in one place,
Right.
And they're also very dependent on, like, for example, the sun. sunlight
Mhm.
to grow.
Mhm.
Obviously, also water.
And their
Air.
existence depends on
Water.
external factors and
Yeah.
not the fact that they can
But-
go and, let's say, hunt themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The positive or the benefit is that they produce,
Mm-hmm.
reproduce. They produce food. They
Mm-hmm.
nourish like and the whole economic system basically. Like they bring it to life.
And
And
also
when there are plants, there is like more life, like
Mhm.
animals. You know.
Okay.
the reproduction is also exponential in terms of pollination.
Mm-hmm.
A flower makes many, many flowers.
Right.
A fox makes
Yeah.
few.
Okay. Next, animals. Weakness and
They
advantage.
can move.
Huh?
They can move.
Okay, so they have mobility. Is that mobility only an advantage?
Well, it's extra energy.
Hmm?
It takes a lot of extra energy to move,
Right.
so they have to supply that energy, which is kind of a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Now, this mobility, is it only an advantage?
No,
Like you mentioned one thing, but I'm seeking something else.
They're susceptible to be a prey as well.
They what?
Susceptible to be a prey as well, in the sense that somebody else, if you move, then somebody's
They're I mean they makes them a target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but besides that, suppose that animal, for a certain reason, he broke his leg. Now what?
No,
Big
he's,
disadvantage.
It relies on
you
it
can,
relies on movement. So once it loses that ability, it's like
That's pretty much death for an animal.
yeah,
Okay, so his mobility
he relies on it.
is okay. He's relying on that for his
Growth and
existence.
reproduction is dependent on
Right.
mobility.
Right.
on his physical health.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. So it's an advantage, but it's also a weakness.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. What else?
They can adapt easily to other environments. Like they move around. Usually, like you have many animals that, for example, the birds.
Right.
Birds they fly in the winter to the south, summer to
Mhm.
the north.
Right.
Like they adapt to the environment. They have more
Mm-hmm.
Find shelter.
shelter, of course. Also,
Mhm.
build also shelter. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, you can move if
they're
you
more
want a
adaptable.
more comfortable situation.
Uh-huh. Or in danger, or
Or in danger.
right. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let's see if anything else here that he mentioned.
Ability to process information, desires. Yeah. They can choose what
Okay.
they eat.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, they have instincts that
Get a menu.
yeah,
Yeah, but
it's very
But you're
limited.
You're just like, okay, the sun comes,
Yeah.
water comes, so.
Yeah. Okay. There's something else with animals compared to plants is when you take a tree, for instance, and you broke a branch or cut off a branch.
of course.
Does that damage the tree? Is the tree now harmed? Does it feel pain? Hmm? No. And not only that, after you cut off a branch or you broke a branch,
Goes out of control.
okay? So the tree does not have this like one communicative like center, like an operation room where it is in charge of the whole organism.
Nervous system,
It's
brain.
less
Right.
vulnerable to.
Hmm?
It's less vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
to forces from outside, like from like hitting the tree or cutting off the branch.
Right.
Like where like living animals, for example, like
Mm-hmm.
you cut something or you break the bone or whatever. Like it's, as you said,
it-
when animals pretty much death.
So it harms the whole system
Yes.
of an animal.
It's very vulnerable.
Okay, so the animal has this one center that is like the operative center, and okay, obviously the animal is relying also on the nerves and his senses.
Yeah.
Okay, so the senses and are sending the nerves the let's say, the orders, the commandments, the orders of, okay, what has happened or whatever, and then it delivers it to the to that center, and then that center is analyzing or the situation.
Danger,
Yeah, right.
fun.
All right. Now let's go further. 34.
All right, the Kuzari said, this is all well known and irrefutable.
Yeah. So again, he has nothing really to comment, but he's so upset with what the rabbi said before. So he's like, "Yeah, but." Okay.
And then the rabbi continued, all regarding intelligent behavior, the human being is distinguished from all other animals. Man's higher intellect requires him man's higher intellect requires of more refined behavior, the establishment of civilizations, the exercising of social justice, and other forms of conduct and etiquette.
Okay. So what's now the difference between human being and animals?
Human being, it needs to create more order for himself, like
Culture.
culture,
Mhm.
civilization,
Structure.
social
Mhm.
structure,
Mm-hmm.
to keep himself alive. Otherwise, like, it goes back to hunter-gatherer like society, like very more animalistic,
True.
which human being cannot really flourish in.
Mm-hmm.
They can survive, but they cannot really come to full potential. What they could do.
Okay. So, and what makes the difference? What gives the human being that advantage?
The intellect.
Okay, so the intellect distinguishes human beings from animals, where it's expected from him, it's required from him to establish a civilization, okay, a state, a nation, a society, which have rules, laws, order. Okay. Okay, so where the animal is, its behavior is relying on instincts. Okay, a human being is relying on. Okay, when we say intellect, okay, we have to be careful and emphasize what this means, because could possibly maybe in the academic world, they would say the definition of the difference between human beings and animals is the intellect, which is when you go down to the point, it's the IQ. Okay, saying suppose hypothetically, okay. So, and then when you say that, okay, in the Jewish world, our answer to such a statement would be, okay, I want to come to that professor. I want to compliment that professor. Okay, my compliment to you is you're smarter than a dog. Because basically that's what he said, right? He said that the distinguishing to the distinguish between human beings and animals is the brain, is the intellect, is the IQ, right? And human being has more usually IQ than a dog or a monkey. So therefore, I want to compliment him and say, you're smarter than a dog, you're smarter than a monkey, you're smarter than a donkey, right? And then that professor is upset, he's furious, he's offended. Why are you offended? Your definition, academic, intellectual definition was that the only difference between human beings and animals is the IQ. So why are you furious and upset and offended by this compliment that we just gave you? Why?
Because human beings have also emotions. Emotional. Human beings are emotional beings also.
That's true,
Like
but
this is why they get offended.
but emotions also animals have.
Or like having
Because there's
those
something else.
social beings.
Everyone knows that there's something else innately different about the human being than animals.
What is
besides
that? What is that?
Speech.
Okay,
Uh,
getting closer to the point.
The possibility of thinking in different steps.
But that same thing as thinking or speaking, because speech is unique to human beings, is where you transfer your thoughts to an external source, a person, through your speech.
I think
Yeah.
something about a role to other people. No.
That too, but okay, there's a very elementary concept here that makes it
Self-consciousness.
okay. That's I mean, okay, the difference here would be on the level of that consciousness. Okay, meaning an animal has the instinct to feel, to sense if there's a threat to its life and then run away or fight, whatever it is required to do. Okay, so animals have that instinct of survival and existence as human beings do. So then what is the difference?
Human beings want to build something bigger. They have the goal to build something.
Okay, but still,
or to improve.
Still, that is showing that the only difference between human beings and animals is on quantity. Okay, that they have a bigger brain. The human being is able to develop a spaceship to fly to the moon. Okay, the animals don't have that ability. Okay, it's a big deal.
The possibility of.
You know what? I'll make it even harder. I'll make it the Maharal. Okay, in his book Tiferet Israel, he's talking about the receiving of the Torah, but before that, he's comparing, according to the Midrashim and the Talmud, between human beings and animals. He says, listen, when you compare human beings to animals, basically, they have much more advantages than we as human beings. For them to make a living, is it easier or harder?
That's very easy for them.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. A human being, as an individual or even a family, which is more complicated, but to supply sustain his family. What does that demand from him? Okay, he goes to work, fine, but that work that he has to do on a daily basis, on a week, and a month.
Animals do it also. They go hunting.
But how many hours?
I don't know.
Depends on how hungry they are.
Depends on the animals.
They don't have to go an 8-hour day. Okay.
Yes.
If not, they're very bad hunters.
Okay. We have to go on an 8-10 or more hour per day. We take loans, we take mortgages, just for what? To have this space with a ceiling to protect us from the weather.
The structure, social structure.
Okay, and okay, so that's just. Wait, that's just as a shelter to protect you from the weather. Mm-hmm. Okay, but then you need garments, right? You need clothes.
Yeah.
How much effort a human being has to go through and just to have this shirt? How many human beings were working on this single shirt?
Humans are also more vulnerable, against
absolutely,
diseases and the weather and everything. That's why he has to build shelter, create clothing, everything, and fire.
Get vaccinations.
Not necessarily, but sometimes it's good.
Most of the time not. Especially not in...
Get medical treatment, yes. Medical treatment is good. So I lost my
Your
grain of salt.
your process.
Yeah.
No, all what you said is an excuse, okay? But still, you see, bottom line is the animals they're using the minimum of effort to sustain themselves. And not only that, then the Maral is going further and is saying each one of those animals, okay, if you take, I don't know, the lion, okay, what's the special gift of the lion?
He's very strong physically. He's a great hunter. Yeah.
Oh. He's very strong, right?
Yeah.
Does he go hunting?
No, well, the females go hunting.
Ah.
But
So
he builds.
wait. So his physicality, okay, his strength, that potential
Show dominance.
is not even used for his survival and his existence, for his sustaining his family, right? It's true that just knowing that strength and that he's a threat is enough to prevent from any other animals to come closer. True. But he doesn't even need to use it, right? They say there's a midrashim, and I think also in the world and the culture, it's famous and known that like the foxes are clever, right? Do they use that cleverness to sustain themselves? Not really.
I don't know.
Not.
I never studied foxes.
They're not so.
Yet.
Okay. I don't know. Horses. What's their special gift?
They have a lot of strength. They can run.
They can run.
Yeah.
Do they need that speed in order to sustain themselves?
To flee from
Cows do as
predators,
well.
That's it. But I'm saying to eat. Do they need to run? No.
to find food. Yeah, maybe they
They walk. To walk. They don't need to run. What I'm saying is that you see all these gifts that different animals have, and they don't use them in order to sustain themselves. Okay. How long does it take a fox or a whatever any other animal to find a shelter, to build a shelter?
Not so long.
Minutes, right? Well, a fox, what does he need? Cave, right?
Yeah. Or he makes one.
I don't think he even has to make one.
You
You
need to
know?
find just
He has to find it.
somewhere.
Yeah. Right? Does that take a lot of effort?
Not for him.
Not for him. Human being, build a house,
Why?
okay? So you see, through all of that, the animals are okay, much more advanced than us in sustaining themselves.
Self-sufficient.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and we
Because human beings have in general they like to have
they're spoiled, okay, but
they like to have nice things like to build nice structures, nice clothing.
that's true, but that's
have
not
this desire to make things beautiful, to beautify things.
fine. And that could be advantage or weakness, doesn't matter. But I'm saying still, what makes human beings different?
So when you have like an animal, when you have like the idea of an animal, like a bird,
Right.
it's like every bird is a perfect bird. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
It's not like when you have it's either dead
Right.
or it's like just a bird, you know? And
Mhm.
it acts like a perfect bird, and there's no like where a human being has like this huge potential
Mm-hmm.
that can be met or can be like not met, right?
True.
And like a human being has to work its whole being in order to bring out this potential inside itself,
Mm-hmm.
or it's gonna, and we can exist in all these a whole different spectrum of
Mhm.
like what a human being is.
Like we can evolve.
Right, where like a squirrel is
Uh-huh.
like a squirrel, you know, and every
Okay.
squirrel is pretty equal. It's not like, oh, this is a great squirrel, or this is not such a great squirrel.
Mhm.
It's like,
Their abilities, they're
they're like
also
perfect,
static.
kind of. They're like perfect animals, you know. It's like it's
Okay,
perfect.
you're getting to the
Their
point.
abilities are static as stones are in their
Mhm.
just in the being stone.
Okay.
But, yeah.
In other words, okay, well, maybe we'll use what you said later on, but what I'm pointing out is the big difference between animals and human beings. It's free will.
I had this in mind, but I didn't say it before.
Okay,
But it's
so
so obvious.
it's so obvious, but it's not. Okay, meaning, as I said, like in the academic world, they might say IQ, but that's not the case. Okay, we proved it by saying why he would be offended by comparing him to a dog, right? So that's not the case. The case is not the amount of IQ, which it is true that we have more IQ than animals, usually, but okay, but still, the difference is free will. Okay, you didn't see, I don't know, a dog commit suicide because he has a broken heart, right? Huh?
No.
No. Okay. Or you didn't see a cat mourning over another cat that was run over by a car. Okay. Okay, human beings have free will, and not only free will, they're social. Okay, so here in Israel, when you hear sad news, even though you're not a relative and you have no idea who that person is, but you hear that, I don't know, a soldier was killed or wounded, you hear that something negative happened to him, you feel bad. Okay, why? You have that social, um, I don't call it instinct, but the social feeling and awareness, huh?
Empathy.
And empathy, that you care. Okay, you care for your fellow friend, your brothers, as part of your nation, although you don't in person know them. Okay, but you care. Okay, so we have free will. With that free will, we can, as you said, evolve. In other words, correct and perfect our characteristics. Okay, a lion won't be accused for being cruel for hunting down a deer. Why? Because that's his instinct. That's the female, but she wouldn't be accused as being cruel because that's their instinct. That's their what's expected from them.
Nature.
That's their nature. That's what's expected from them, and therefore, for that lion doing that, that's the perfect deed for him to do that. That's what's expected from him. That's what's demanded from him. By doing that, that lion is serving Hashem and doing Hashem's will. Okay? And when that bird is, I don't know, singing on a tree or flying from one place to another, it's doing Hashem's will. Perfect. Exactly as how Hashem created him. But human beings, that's a different story. Okay? Human beings are expected always and always to develop, to perfect themselves, to elevate themselves, to be every day better from the previous day. Okay? Every day, as a Jew, we have the obligation to foresee, to calculate, what did I do this day? What did I do good? What did I do not so good? How can I improve? How can I elevate? How can I become better? And it never ends. Okay, that's the duty of a human being and obviously of a Jew. Okay, and then how I become more humble, how I get rid of my short temper, how I become less jealous, how I become more caring, more kind, and smarter. Okay.
All
Yeah.
these attempts to improve one's character
Yeah.
or abilities
Mhm.
also the purpose is to build a more stable society in the end.
Okay, so you're correct
Progress
that
as humanity as a whole, or
the
as a community at least.
you mentioned that before, and it's a very important concept. A human being cannot fulfill full potential as an individual. Okay, the human being to fulfill the full potential that he has, and um, to fulfill his full potential will only be done with society. Okay? As with society, the human race can reach amazing amazing achievements or terrible achievements, depending on their free will and their characteristics. Okay, they can take it to the dark side and behave like animals or Nazis. Okay, or they can take it and make this life and make this world the Garden of Eden. Okay, and that depends also on characteristics. Okay, if there are people in this world that have the money and the power to dominate the world and to take control over the world for their own selfish, self-centered agenda, and there are people that are doing that. I don't know if you're aware. There are people that are trying to do that, or some success. That's with their free will. And it's our job to prevent them from doing that and awakening the world to a different concept of living. A human being was created in the image of God, so he has to be close to God. He has to be walking in the path of God, which is to do good. And good in the eyes of God, not in the eyes of your own thoughts or imagination. Yeah. Okay, we have a few more minutes. Where did we stop?
36.
30.
Sorry, that is also true.
Okay. 37. Chaim.
Or 37. All right. The rabbis asked, "At what level do you think ranks above the human?" The Kuzari said, "The level of the great wise men."
Okay, so the Kuzari doesn't realize that does not answer the question, because when the rabbi explained the 4 levels of hierarchy, it was totally distinguished each level from the other, not by quantity, but rather by quality, and it's a self-definition that is totally different one from the other. Okay, but when you're saying that the next level is the great wise men, then they're still in the same category as human beings, and they're just smarter. That's it, and it's quantity, not quality. Okay, so this is what the rabbi is going to say here in 39. Okay, so
Yeah, the rabbi said, "I only wish to classify levels between things that are fundamentally different." such as inorganic matter versus plant life and human beings versus animals. To classify within the same type of drawing distinctions between those with more or less is unproductive. Those types of classifications do not examine traits which fundamentally define the level, and so they cannot be considered true distinctions.
Right. When same thing, same idea. Take two horses and one is faster than the other. So you say, this horse is superior. No, just say, okay, this horse is faster. That's it. They're same under the same definition as a horse. Okay. Okay. So that's you can say that's talent. Okay, that horse has better talent with speed. Okay, so big deal. So what? Right? That horse is faster than human beings. Okay, so I mean, does that make the horse superior than us? Okay, or dogs. Okay, dogs have that talent with smell, right? So does that make them more superior than human beings because they smell better?
Well, in this certain area, yes.
In this category.
That's why we use them.
But you see,
Yeah, I mean, of course.
I wouldn't say dogs smell better than human beings. Maybe some people.
but you see, human beings will use the dogs and not vice versa.
Yes.
Okay, so.
And most of the time, those dogs that are getting used for like drugs are very addicted to drugs.
You think?
Yeah, they give the dogs drugs, and then that's why they're looking for the drugs because they also want. Because the dogs are junkies, the police dogs.
Oh.
Didn't know that?
I didn't know that. That's breaking news to me.
Wow. Yeah, but
Because they smell it all the time.
Yeah, so they are addicted to it.
Okay.
So they look for it because they're addicted.
Yes.
Interesting.
That's why they did.
I thought it was because they.
But not all of them. Only the drugs dogs are junkies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go for the
So you're saying the dogs that are looking for ammunition and weapons are addicted to weapons? Huh?
No.
I'm kidding. Okay. Yeah, they like shooting and stuff. So, okay. So 39 is clear.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So 40. So Kuzari realizes this is a conclusion. Okay.
Okay, so the Kuzari said, if so, then there's no physical creature on a higher level than the human being.
Okay, so according to the criterions and to the levels that we mentioned, then yeah, the human being is the top of this hierarchy. Okay. Okay, well, it's time, so we'll stop here. But at least up to here, do you understand the idea? What is the Kuzari is trying to lead us, guide us through, or the king of Kuzari through, is that there is hierarchy in.
Or like
First of all, in the physical world, and then later on it will be beyond the physical world. Okay.